trying to get in the zone sucks.
So why getting into the zone sucks was an article that I wrote about 4 or 5 years ago, and it caused a little bit of controversy because I work, some of you know the story, some don't, but I work with mainly corporates, but also quite a lot of sports professionals, and it kind of hacked a few off, especially the ones I was working with, because they worked with anything from 1 to 5, 6 or 7 different sports psychologists over the course of time, and then either got referred or recommended or heard about me. And so we started working together, and I'd say to them, there's no such thing as the zone. And if there is, you certainly don't do anything to get there. Excuse me. You don't do anything to get there. It's something that you fall into. So I'd work with, I don't know, maybe a golf professional, for example, and there's one coming to mind in particular. He'd have 20 seconds of a ritual. So he'd stand behind his ball, so the tee's way down there, his ball's 5, 10 paces in front of him, he'd stand here and he'd look for 5, 6, 7 seconds, and he'd walk always with his left foot first, 3, 4, and stop, about a pace away from his ball. He'd look again at the tee, he'd walk around the side. I mean, there's a few golfers, I know Jay plays a good stand of golf, I know Grant plays, and maybe there's some others as well. So he'd stand and he'd do what he needed to do, and he'd put his butt, as they do, often, and he'd drop his shoulders, and he'd do all these different things. He'd have so many things, and then he'd look up at the ball, look up at the tee, look back at his ball, look up at the tee. He'd tap his club 2 or 3 times, and then he'd relax. And once he kind of found that space, he thought he was doing all these things. He thought he was doing this sequence of events, or this ritual, a predetermined, kind of in his mind. This was what he was going to do every single shot, unless it was a putt, it was slightly different. But every single time he'd do the same thing. And he thought that that's what he needed to do to get into the zone. And the second I said to him, that's absolute BS, it's rubbish, it doesn't make sense on any level. He was a bit upset at first. We worked together for about 18 months, and he wrote me a testimonial. He wrote me a testimonial, and the testimonial said that he's now playing the best golf he's played in over 20 years. So we had some challenging times during our time together, because he kind of thought that the things that he'd learned from the different sports psychologists he worked with, he kind of clung on to me. He had tools and techniques and strategies, and I said to him one day, I said, what happens when these things don't work? He was stumped, completely stumped. He didn't have an answer. So when it worked, he loved the tools and techniques and strategies. The second they don't work, he's lost, completely lost. So I threw 3 or 4 balls down, and I said to him, I want you to hit towards that flag. It was about maybe 80 yards away. And he stood over it, and he did all these things. I said, do what you normally do. So he stood over the ball, did what he normally did, 20 seconds plus at least every single shot. In between each shot, he'd walk away, do exactly the same thing, time and time again. So he'd do 4 or 5, 3 or 4, whatever was down on the floor, hit these balls that most players that played to a reasonable standard would be delighted with. I certainly would. He wasn't pleased. They were all over the place. They were maybe from here to that post away. From 80 metres, 80 yards. That's quite kind of poor for a professional golfer. And I said to him, what was going through your mind? He said, lots. I said, okay. So I had him, and I said to him, are you open to something a bit different? He said, yes. So I had him singing. I said, it just occurred to me, it just came to mind. I said, I want you to sing. Because he made the comment, he said, when I was playing when I was a kid, I used to just hit these for fun. I could do it one-handed, left-handed, right-handed, both-handed, even the opposite way around, he could do with the left-handed club. So I said to him, I'd like you to sing, I'd like you to count. And all I was trying to do was take up some mental space. Just take up all this erroneous, ill-serving thought. I just wanted to take up some space, some kind of bandwidth. So I had him singing. So he walked up, he said, what do you want to do in between? Do you want me to walk back and forth? I said, if it occurs to them, do that. But it wouldn't be my recommendation. My recommendation would be, I use the same words. Do as you did when you were a kid. Just do it like it's fun. And he got down and he went, and I'm not exaggerating, he just kind of went, bam, hit the ball. Next one, hit literally that fast. 4 or 5 shots. And from here to maybe this table, it was within a third of the distance of his first 4 or 5 shots. He was within a third of that distance. So if it was maybe 6 metres, 5, 6 metres he was away, he was in 2, 2.5, 3 metres. And the only one he didn't hit was the last one. And the reason why, he went into his head. So he hit the first 4, lovely, went over the last one, and he had 2 or 3 seconds, or 3 or 4 seconds of thought. And he started thinking, wow, what am I doing? So he went inside again. So why am I absolutely adamant about people try and get to the zone, sucking? Please forgive the phrase, it basically means it doesn't work, there's no such thing. We just find ourselves in the zone when our mind quietens down. When you look at someone like Usain Bolt, classic example. He's before the race, he's laughing and joking with the person that's taking his clothes and his different things that he takes off and puts in the basket. He's messing with the crowds, he's playing to the crowds, playing to the camera. He hasn't got a head full of thinking. He's not trying to find the zone. He's just going to fall into it. He's going to relax into it. When his mind's relaxed, his body's relaxed. When his body's relaxed, his breathing's relaxed. He's absolutely effortless. He's the epitome of falling into the zone. He doesn't try and think his way there. He doesn't try and strategize and use a tool or a technique to get into the zone. And he's not on his own. There's him, there's loads of them. You look at the Olympic team, look at Leicester City. I don't know if anyone follows football. Leicester City just won a kind of big competition apparently. Did rather well. What were the odds now? Were they 4,000 to 1 or 5,000 to 1?
Yeah.
Something crazy. How much pressure do you think they had at the start of their season?
None.
Not a jot. Not one single bit. Nothing. They had nothing on it. They were kind of brought from all over the place as a team. And then you've got hundreds of millions of pounds with the top teams. They've got so much self-created pressure on them. A whole different game. How does this relate to you guys? I guess we can kind of bring it right to away from sports, because people think about the zone and the kind of flow state as the exclusive domain of the world of sports. But it's kind of not the case, is it? It could be business, making better decisions in business. We've all experienced a flow state, all of us, every single time. With this talk, there's been times where I've been in flow, there's been times where I've been in my head. It's a classic example. If I try to do something to get myself to kind of be in flow and to be into the zone, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. I hope you've enjoyed the talk. I've enjoyed giving it. I do apologise about drinking water at the start, but it's kind of warm here, it's not just me. It is, it really is. Thank you so much for listening.